Below is a slow-paced, descriptive story inspired by the provided plot, written in clear, simple English suitable for slow text-to-speech narration. The story is crafted to fit within 1,500–1,600 words, with a calm introduction, a relatable problem, a gentle twist, and a satisfying, emotionally grounded ending. It emphasizes atmosphere, emotional depth, smooth transitions, and natural pauses. Since no specific Russian character names were provided in the chat, I've used evocative, Russian-inspired names to align with the request. The story avoids graphic details to maintain a gentle tone while staying loosely connected to the theme of a murder suspect's surrender. The snow on Surrender Street. Word count: 1598. The air in Kirk's Hollow was heavy with winter. Snow fell in soft, silent flakes, blanketing the small town in a hush that felt sacred. Streetlights glowed faintly along Surrender Street, their amber halos smudging into the dusk. The town was quiet, as it always was in January, when the world seemed to pause and breathe. Houses stood close, their wooden porches creaking under the weight of snow. Somewhere, a dog barked, its voice muffled by the cold. Irina Volkova stood at her kitchen window, her breath fogging the glass. She was 62, with silver hair pinned loosely at her neck and hands that bore the calluses of a life spent working. Her small home smelled of black tea and rye bread, the kind her mother used to bake. Irina's eyes, sharp despite her years, traced the snowflakes as they drifted. She liked this time of day, when the world felt still. But tonight, her heart was uneasy. Kirk's Hollow wasn't a place for secrets. Everyone knew everyone, old grudges, quiet kindnesses, whispered gossip at the general store. Yet something had shifted 3 weeks ago, when young Mikhail Petrov, the butcher's son, vanished. The town buzzed with rumors. Some said he'd run off to the city, chasing dreams too big for these narrow streets. Others whispered darker things. Irina didn't like to speculate, but the weight of it pressed on her, like the snow piling on her roof. She turned from the window, her slippers shuffling on the worn floorboards. The radio hummed softly, a habit she kept to fill the silence since her husband, Dmitry, passed 5 years ago. The news crackled through. New details tonight on the Kirk murder case. The suspect, Mikhail Petrov, surrendered to authorities this afternoon. Irina froze, her teacup halfway to her lips. Her hands trembled, and the porcelain clinked against the saucer. Mikhail, the boy who'd helped her carry firewood last winter, his cheeks red from the cold, his smile shy but warm. The boy who'd sit on her porch, talking about his dreams of opening a shop, maybe even leaving Kirk's Hollow someday. Could he really have done something so terrible? The radio continued, but Irina didn't hear it. Her mind wandered back to the problem that had haunted her these past weeks. The night she'd seen Mikhail running down Surrender Street, his coat flapping, his face pale under the streetlights. It was late, nearly midnight, when she'd spotted him from her window. The snow had just started, light and fleeting. Mikhail hadn't seen her watching. He'd looked frightened, his boots slipping on the icy pavement. Irina had thought to call out, to ask if he was all right, but something in his eyes stopped her. Fear, yes, but something else, guilt, perhaps, or shame. She hadn't told anyone, not the neighbors, not the police. Loyalty to the boy, or maybe fear of the truth, had kept her silent. Now, as the radio droned on, Irina felt that silence like a stone in her chest. She set the teacup down and wrapped her shawl tighter around her shoulders. The house was warm, but she felt cold. She needed to know more, not from the radio, but from the town itself. Kirk's Hollow had a way of holding its truths close, letting them seep out in quiet moments. Irina slipped on her boots, her coat, her scarf, and stepped into the snow. The street was empty, save for the footprints she left behind. The air smelled of pine and chimney smoke. Surrender Street stretched ahead, leading to the town square where the police station stood, its windows glowing like eyes in the dusk. Irina walked slowly, her breath puffing in small clouds. She passed the butcher shop, its sign creaking in the wind. A light flickered inside, and she saw Pavel Petrov, Mikhail's father, sweeping the floor. His shoulders were hunched, his face drawn. Irina paused, wanting to knock, to say something, but what could she say? I saw your son running that night. I said nothing. I'm sorry. The words felt too heavy, so she walked on. At the square, a small crowd had gathered outside the police station. They stood in clumps, their voices low, their faces half hidden by scarves and hats. Irina recognized Anna Sokolov, the librarian, and old Viktor Ivanov, who sold vegetables from his cart. They were talking about Mikhail, about the surrender, about the man he was accused of harming, a drifter named Yuri, who'd been found near the river, his life gone before anyone could help. Irina stayed at the edge, listening. He turned himself in, Anna said, her voice soft but clear. Walked right into the station, they say. Didn't fight, didn't run. Victor shook his head. That boy's no killer. I've known him since he was a child. Something's not right. Irina's heart stirred. She wanted to believe Victor, to cling to the image of Mikhail stacking her firewood, his laugh echoing in the frost. But the night she'd seen him running lingered in her mind. She stepped closer, her boots crunching in the snow. What did he say? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Anna turned, surprised to see her. Irina, you're out late. They say Mikhail confessed, but not to everything. Said it was an accident. A fight that went wrong. An accident. The word settled over Irina like snow, soft but cold. She thought of Mikhail's face that night, the fear in his eyes. Maybe it wasn't guilt she'd seen, but regret. Maybe he'd been running from himself, not from justice. She thanked Anna and turned back toward home, her steps slower now. The town felt different, as if the snow had buried something and revealed something else. Back in her kitchen, Irina lit a candle. The flame flickered, casting shadows on the walls. She sat at the table, her hands folded, and let her thoughts drift. The problem wasn't just Mikhail's surrender or the rumors swirling through Kirk's Hollow. It was her own silence, her choice to stay quiet when she might have helped. She'd always thought of herself as kind, as someone who looked out for others. But kindness, she realized, wasn't always enough. Sometimes it meant speaking up, even when it was hard.